Sports for Real with Coach Hall. This is college football reviews and previews for Week 8. Got to go back to last week when Colorado jumped out on Stanford 29-0 and seemingly going into cruise control. Stanford, of course, stormed all the way back to send the game into overtime and then won it. Well, if you think that's unusual or unlikely to happen, it's actually a very common thing. Why? Because the team with the large leads, they tend to go into a conservative mode. What they want to try to do is run the clock and shorten the game, and most of the time this is an effective technique. But a lot of times it gives other teams motivation, and they start to get a little confidence with moving the ball and scoring the ball, because while this team is getting conservative, they're also playing their reserve players. So the momentum tends to switch. And when those teams get on a roll and start to make a furious comeback, it's hard to turn that momentum off. I saw that in the game in high school this year, but it wasn't a 29-point game, but the team that was ahead was clearly the better team. But all of a sudden the momentum shifted on them, and there was nothing they can do about it. It's just a momentum train that ran out of control. And I hadn't seen that live in a very, very, very long time. So that's what happened to Colorado. I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow when it happens to you, but again, it's not a very uncommon thing. So Colorado is one of my games today. They're going to be in UCLA today to take on Chip Kelly and his Bruins. Now, Chip Kelly's doing a decent job in LA, but he's not making the same noise as he did when he was in Oregon. Now, of course, they made a lot of rule changes since he was there, and his offense is not going to be as innovative as it used to be. But still a very, very good coach. And if he gets the right personnel, expect for him to be dangerous in the future. But as far as Colorado goes, a lot of their weaknesses have been exposed, and then you got some internal things going on. Not that the coaches are losing control of the team, nothing like that. But, you have these guys who've been reading their press clippings, and you can tell by the way they carry themselves that it has had an effect on them. And don't you think that the head coach hadn't noticed that? And I'm sure he's been riding him about that. So Colorado, again, this is a team of the future. They're trying to see how many wins they can get to and try to get to a bowl. And a victory over UCLA would be a huge shot in the arm to get them in the direction that they want to go. So this should be a good, close game. But I'd like to see Colorado pull this one out. But again, this is a team of the future. They're going to go to the transfer portal. They're going to fix all those mistakes that they have with better players, and they're going to come back with experience of knowing who they're playing against. Plus, they're going to be in a weaker conference, not as strong as the Pac-12 is this year when they go down to the Big 12. So, again, trying to see how Colorado handles the transition. But again, this is a team of the future. And as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of playing out kind of like what I thought it would. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch some of my old videos. The other game I want to talk about, well, the second of three games I want to talk about, is Tennessee going down to Alabama. Now, I think this would have been a great coronation or coming out party for Tennessee as the team to take over Alabama's cemented spot in the SEC. I think Alabama is a declining team, but they're still a very, very good and dangerous team. But I'm saying to you that Tennessee, they're not going to get that coronation that they should have because they just can't seem to get over certain humps. They're not consistent all the time. When they lost to Florida, I was very disappointed. I thought that they were going to go down to Gainesville and put on a great performance and put all those negative performances they had in Gainesville in the past. But no, it didn't happen that way. It was predictable. Tennessee played the same way they always play when they come to Gainesville. Kind of in a way that when the Colts come to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars, they lay an egg. They laid an egg last week, and they tend to lay an egg every time they come to Jacksonville. Same thing with Tennessee. So until they can get consistent and come out and play the same way all the time, no matter who the opponent is and no matter where they play, they're not ready to supplant Alabama. And having said that, they beat Alabama by the slimmest of margins last year. And I think that with Alabama being home and this is a rival game, they remember that. And if Tennessee don't come out on all cylinders, They might just get run off the field today. So I'm going to take Alabama in a close game. But Tennessee, if you want to be on the top level to supplant Alabama, you got to win this game, and then you got to continue on the rest of the season winning all the games that you should win, regardless of where you play. And finally, the most important game, which is also early in the day, you got Penn State going into Ohio State. I saw the game last year, and Ohio State got a couple defensive turnovers and separated from Penn State. And it was the same old story there. Penn State scrapped with Ohio State, but in the end, the Buckeyes would pull away. But I think the way that the season is going and the way that the series has gone in the past, I think today is going to represent a change. Penn State is playing some good football. Ohio State's playing decent football, but not the way that Penn State is playing. Matter of fact, if you look back to last year, it's reverse roles. It was Penn State who's looking like Ohio State looks this year, while Ohio State was playing pretty good football last year. So Penn State is the team right now that is in position to go into Columbus and come out with a victory. And I'm saying to you, I expect them to do so. But if they can't get by Ohio State today, then it might just be time for a change in Happy Valley, because they've gone as high as they're going to be able to go with James Franklin. But I don't think that's going to be the case today. I expect Penn State to finally get over the hump and knock over Ohio State. It's going to be rough. It's going to be in front of a rowdy crowd, but they play in front of 100,000 plus at home all the time, so playing on the road, it shouldn't make that much of a difference. But that's how you determine if you're ready for the big time, if you can go into venues like today and come out with a victory. So I'm going to take Penn State to knock off Ohio State. I like to see Tennessee win, but I'm going to go with Alabama in a close game. And in a close game, I like to see how Colorado handles that on the road. And I'm going to take the Buffaloes, which would be a signature victory, even though both teams don't have the greatest of records right now. Chip Kelly would be a huge win moving forward for the Buffaloes. So there's just some games to look out for during this week 8 of college football. Sports for real.